Hello everyone. This is the first module of our full stack development course. This module name is Introduction to Full Stack Development. What's the purpose of this full stack development course? The purpose is obviously to become a full stack web developer. But what does that mean? So, becoming a full stack web developer means that you are being aware of all the aspects of web development. And with that, you'll come to know that how to create a simple website and then how to deploy it in the cloud so that it's available online for others. You'll be able to understand and appreciate all the pieces of the entire web application stack. For example, front end, which is available in your browser, back end, which is available at the servers, and apart from that, databases connecting to the back end. So, what does a web application stack constitute of? Okay, obviously I said front end, back end, databases, but there are other aspects also of it, which include deploying your websites in the cloud, testing your application before you are deploying, and using analytics to measure different aspects of your web application. Now we'll go slightly in detail in each one of them. So front end has a lot of technologies, for example, HTML, CSS, JavaScript. These are running inside the browser, right? So they have browsers have native support for these technologies. Apart from that, there are libraries like React.js which are built on top of JavaScript for building a modern web application. That we are going to look into that also. In backend, we'll be using Node.js, which is a version of JavaScript which is out of the browser. In the backend, on the web servers, it can be used, but basically it is mostly a slight superset of JavaScript only. Apart from that, we will be using Express.js, which is used in conjunction with Node.js for building APIs. We will be looking at a document-based database called MongoDB, and we'll be seeing that how we can connect our application to the database. We'll be understanding about Git, uh, different packages, and npm is called, basically it is node package manager. We'll have a look at that, and finally we'll also see that how do you store your source code in the cloud in GitHub essentially. And apart from that, we also have things like browser development tools, so that while debugging inside the browser, in for example Chrome, Firefox, all these browsers have their inbuilt developer tools which can be very helpful while debugging and developing our application in our local systems. Apart from that, the web application stack also has a thing called web analytics, right? Which deals with measurement, collection, and analysis and reporting of the web data which we are trying to measure. However, in this course, we are not going to go much detailed into this web analytics thing, but definitely I wanted to highlight that this is also one of the parts of the web application stack. So I wanted to highlight one thing here, that this course is not just about learning programming or coding, right? The web development has a lot of things and programming is just a part of it. Okay? For example, HTML is a markup language. It is not a programming language. You'll see that how to create a structure of our web pages using HTML. Again, CSS is not a programming language. It is a style sheet language used to style our documents in HTML. JavaScript is a programming language, right? So here JavaScript is the actual programming part of the web application, but that is just a part of it, right? Not the whole thing. We'll see databases again. There is some concept of programming directly inside databases, but most of the times you will just put your data in the databases and query it. So it has a concept of query language. So it is not a full-fledged programming language in that sense, right? It is a different type of thing. Apart from that, we will also be looking at the tooling around the ecosystem, which means that whatever development environment which we are dealing with, how to use different type of tools so that it helps us in doing a good development of the full stack application, right? Yeah. So whom do we call a full stack developer? So as mentioned earlier, full stack web developer is someone who can work on front end as well as on back end. Now, front end, many words are used interchangeably. It's called client or browser or front end, and back end is sometimes also called server or web server. But the point is, you understand that a web developer, full stack web developer, can work on both the aspects of it. Now, what are the things which are part of the front end? As discussed earlier, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, right? And then there are some libraries like React.js, which are basically built on top of JavaScript, which are used in modern web applications. On backend, we will be using Node.js. And here I would like to mention that Node.js is just a JavaScript engine for the server. Like, it is running JavaScript in an environment which is outside the browser, right? Now, you might be knowing that in backend, we can use a lot of languages, right? Java, Python, Golang, .NET, PHP earlier. So the point is key, there can be many languages which can be used on backend, and any language you are using, that is fine as long as you are able to develop backend. But in this course, we'll be using Node.js, so that after learning a single programming language, JavaScript, you can write front end and back end both using the same programming language. So we'll be using this to build APIs. For example, how to expose different APIs from the back end so that it can be consumed by front end for various purposes. Uh, a backend developer sometimes also need to implement user authentication, that how the users on the front end are being authenticated in the backend, right? Apart from that, and there can be a full stack developer also handles various types of databases in the backend. Now, we'll be using just MongoDB. MongoDB is a document based, also called a NoSQL database. But just I would like to highlight here that databases are of various sorts, right? There is something called SQL, structured query language, SQL databases, and nowadays more popular are NoSQL databases, right? Because they are slightly more scalable for non-structured data. Now, so in NoSQL databases, MongoDB and Cassandra, some are there. We will be using MongoDB. In SQL databases, there are certain databases like MySQL, Postgres, Oracle, DB2. So the point is that you understand, right? There are a lot of things, and you don't need to know all of them. It's just that if you are proficient in some vertical and you can build applications from end to end in some technology for the web, so that all the aspects of the web development is covered, then definitely we will consider that type of person a full stack developer. Okay, so this module is almost done. Just a few questions for your thought. Is there a difference between a website and a web app? So some people will say that I'm creating a website. Do you know how to create a website? Some people will say that I'm building a web app. Okay. So what do you think is the difference between a website and a web app? That's a question you would definitely like to explore. The next question I'm posing is, can we use some language other than JavaScript in the browser? Which means that, can we code in a language for the browser? I'm trying to say, for the browser I have to build something, right? Can I code in some language which is not JavaScript? And we will exclude TypeScript because TypeScript simply is Java, is slight superset of Java only. So other than TypeScript or JavaScript, I'm trying to understand that, can we use a different language? If not, why not? Why can't we use? If yes, then how? How can we achieve that? So that is the question. This module is over. Now let's get started. We'll start the next module where we'll try to learn what are the different fundamental concepts of the web. Okay, so bye for now.